Hi everyone and welcome back to a new tutorial. It's been tough for the past couple of weeks. I've missed so much painting for you. I'm just itching to get back to it. I haven't been painting for the past 2 weeks, maybe a bit more, because I had to have surgery on my ear, as you probably know. I just kind of mentioned it briefly on my Facebook page, just to let you know why there wasn't a tutorial last week. Yes, I had to have surgery on my inner ear. They had to go right in behind my ear because they found a growth, a kind of a disease which was growing on the bones in there, which was in behind my skull. So they had to try and remove as much of that as they could, without causing any damage. Now they said that the bone was so thin they couldn't go any further. It was very close to my brain, so they could not go any further to take it out. So they had to leave some behind. But look, most of it is gone. He said if I have problems down the line, we'll deal with it then. But for the most part now he got everything out. He had to reassemble all the bones inside my little ear, so hopefully in a couple of weeks time I should be able to hear properly. At the moment it's stuffed with cotton and all that kind of stuff, so I can't hear anything, and I have lots of staples all the way around the back of my ear. Dare I show you? Would you like to see it? Would you like to see my staples? Without, I don't want to be spoiling the tutorial, but look, will I give you a quick look just so you can see what I had to get done? Yes? Right, I'm going to turn the camera around. Hopefully you can see this now. I don't know if I'm putting it in the right direction, okay? So there we are. I don't know if you can see that or not. Is it in the right place? I don't know. But look, that's it. That's what they had to do. And they cut around my ear. They put staples in there. So it's not too bad. It's a little bit sore. It's very difficult trying to sleep at night time with this thing because, jeez, trying to turn over and you can only sleep on one side. It's really annoying. And also I'm on very strong painkillers. So it's every day is like a haze. It's just, it comes and goes very quickly. So I haven't taken painkillers this morning. I took one when I got up early because I'm really itching to do a bit of painting. My hands are just, I want to grab some brushes and paints and I want to do a bit of painting because I miss it so much. I haven't painted in about 3 weeks, maybe two weeks, and that's a lot for me because I paint almost every day. I do something. So I'm really kind of missing the painting for you as well. I'm missing the tutorials and I'm missing kind of engaging with everyone and having a chat and showing you what I'm doing. So I'm going to paint this week a nice, a simple landscape, but it's going to be a very nice landscape, and I'm going to add some sheep into it as well. So this is going to be a very rural kind of an Irish landscape. Some hills off in the distance, nice straw kind of colours, nice yellowy sienna kind of colours going through the foreground. Reeds and grasses, that kind of thing. And I'll add some sheep into the end, at the end of the painting. So I just want to kind of do something simple this week. I don't want to kind of go into too much detail because I'm still not completely right. I'm still kind of tired and kind of groggy and that kind of thing. So I wanted to do a nice simple landscape this week for you. So I hope you don't mind, alright? Thank you so much for all your support as well. All the good wishes on Facebook, and thank you so much as well to all my patrons for being so patient with me. I really do appreciate that, alright? I'm really humbled, I really am. So look, I'm going to turn the camera here and show you what I have, alright? I have a canvas here. This is a canvas which I found lying around in my studio. It's very wide. It's 24 inches wide by 8 inches high. And I bought this about 12 months ago, I think, down in Aldi's. They were selling them very cheap at the time, so I just bought a few. So I'm going to do a very nice wide format kind of a landscape on this now, yes? These are my colours. I have my palette set up here. A nice colourful palette today. I'm going to have black, burnt sienna, titanium white, naples yellow, cadmium yellow, some cadmium red, some alizarin crimson, some phaylo blue, and a little burnt umber. That's it. Nice colourful palette today. I have my phone next to me here. This is going to be a reference photograph. So I'll pop that up there now and I'm going to start painting. I'm looking forward to doing this. So look, grab your stuff and get ready. I hope you enjoy this one. This is going to be a nice simple one, nice simple techniques for those of you who are kind of starting out with oil painting. And I think it was Andrea asked me to paint some sheep, so I'm going to add sheep into this at the very end, okay? So I hope you like it, everyone. Thank you so much again for your support. Enjoy. Don't go anywhere. Okay, there's the photograph. Isn't that just lovely? Now, it's a very simple landscape, but there's going to be a lot of technique in this. And I think this is going to look lovely on this very wide canvas. So basically, everything you see up there is going to be sort of stretched out along this lovely wide landscape here. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. And we're going to work with some nice warm colours, some nice rich colours in along the front, and I'm going to add some sheep in just along the front here, 1 or 2 sheep. This rock is quite nice as well. It makes a nice focal point, and that as well in itself will be a lovely tutorial for rocks. So that's why I kind of looked at this and I thought, yeah, you know, sometimes you can look at a photograph and you could think it's quite bland. You might say to yourself, look, there's not much in it to kind of draw attention, but a simple landscape like this is really useful. It's really good for practice and for learning different techniques, because I can see a lot in this which I think will help you in your painting. Now, I'm going to start, okay? First of all, I suppose I could draw just a quick reference line, just to show my horizon line. And what I mean by horizon line is, I don't mean my actual horizon line, but just where the grass kind of stops off in the distance there, we'll say, right? Kind of goes up at a slight angle. Let's give it a slight little rise like that. It's always a good idea to make something like this rather than going straight across. When something is straight across a canvas, it almost creates a kind of a barrier and stops you kind of going into the painting. It's like an illusion in painting. So I always try and give it a slight kind of a rise here and there, just going up slightly on one side. Now we have some nice mountains coming along like this. We have a nice kind of one coming down like that, okay. And then it kind of, now because they're so far away, obviously they kind of look like it's just one long continuous mountain. But I might separate just 1 or 2 here and there. There's a lovely kind of a light spot on the hill just there as well, and there's a lovely light spot there. So I think that's it. I think that's all we need, really. It's just a very quick reference. Perhaps just quickly sketch in the rock along here, okay? Let's just put a very quick reference of that rock. So it comes down like that. You see, just very kind of loosely. You don't have to go into too much detail with this. That's it, that'll do fine. And 1 or 2 off in the distance. Okay, the sky. I want to do a nice bit of work on the sky in this painting now, alright? I don't want to just do a kind of a simple sky. I want to create something similar to what's there. That's a really lovely sky. I really think, I think I have something stuck on my foot here. It's subtle, but there's a lot going on. I can see lots of colour in this sky. So I'm going to just take a medium brush. Now, I have a new medium stubby brush, but this is a little bit too soft for me, I think. It's a little bit, it needs to be worn in, but it's just a little bit too soft for my sky. So I'm going to stick with just a regular kind of a worn one that I have here, alright? It's a worn brush. Dip it into the turpentine, give it a quick dry. And I'm going to mix a very light blue first for my sky, okay? So I'm going to take some phaylo blue. Now, you could use cobalt blue for this if you want, if you wish. I think phaylo blue would be a nice blue for this sky because it's a natural, it's a very natural blue for a landscape. I think a little bit more white now. And you can see everything okay now, yes? You can see what I'm doing. You can, of course. And I'm just going to kind of loosely put in the blue where I can see on the landscape, on the photograph, where the blue is. I'm just going to very loosely put some blue in, here and there. You could cover the entire canvas with blue if you wanted. But now that's normally what I would do. I would probably cover a lot of the canvas with the blue. But I think I'm going to try this type of technique. You can see this in a lot of painting where people are just kind of blocking in colours. You can, of course, just cover the entire sky with blue as well. It's up to yourself, whichever you prefer, okay? what I keep saying with painting, and I keep saying this over and over again, there are no set rules in painting, okay? Painting, you make it what you want. You can make your own decisions. Nobody can tell you you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. It's completely up to yourself, alright? That's what I learned along the way. You know, I started painting when I was about 9 years old, and I was trying my hardest to kind of copy all these artists on TV. I was trying to, and you know, reading books. I was trying my best to copy them exactly and do it exactly as they were doing it, but it never worked. I just never could get it right, and I kind of said to myself, do you know what? I'm just going to do this myself, my own way. I don't care how it turns out. And that's when I realised that, you know, no two artists will ever be exactly the same, okay? They will not. It's just impossible. Everybody's work is different and unique in its own right, and it's a masterpiece in its own right as well. And, you know, you could say, you know, I'll be honest, I don't think there are particular artists who you would regard as, you know, expert and they would have masterpiece, their works would be masterpieces. I think everybody's work is a masterpiece in its own right. It doesn't matter whether you're painting for 12 months or you're painting for 40 years. I think everyone who creates art is an artist, and their work that they create is their masterpiece, okay? You know, I think people in general take painting far too seriously. I think some people take it very, very seriously. You have to just enjoy painting for what it is. You know, just remember why you're doing it in the first place. Why am I painting this right now? Because I love to do it and I get great satisfaction from it. And you know, I get great satisfaction from helping people as well get started, even if it's just kind of a mentoring type of an exercise. That's fantastic. I love that. I get great satisfaction from mentoring people and just helping people get started, you know. Now, enough of me waffling on here. I'm just filling in the grey in between the blue, right? And it's a kind of a very pinkish tone. I don't know if you can see that in the photograph there, but it's a very pinky kind of a tone. So what I done was I took some lamp black, or ivory black, whichever one you have. I don't even know which one this is because I don't check the names on the black. To me, black is black. They're slightly different, but in general, black is black. I took some lamp black, some white, and a hint of crimson, and the crimson will give that a grey, pinky kind of a pinky hue, which is lovely, and you can see it in the sky. It's very sort of a pinky kind of and it's very pale pinky kind of a grey over here as well. And I'm just kind of softening it into the blue sky very loosely. Look, all I'm doing is just flicking it left and right, and you can even go down into the blue here and there and let that mix in with the blue as well, which is lovely. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going along and I'm just going to dampen the corner of my brush now just a little. My apologies if I'm kind of waffling on a little bit and talking a little bit too much. It could be because I took a very strong painkiller this morning, very early when I woke, and you know yourself, when you take a strong painkiller, it just makes you kind of slightly fuzzy, I suppose. Now, but I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine, and thank you so much for all the wishes, the get well wishes. Very, very kind of you all. So I'm just kind of filling in this pinky grey, very light pinky kind of a grey here and there, and I don't want to go too light with this. I am going to give this some dark as well in a moment, but I just want to kind of fill in the majority of the sky with this. Now I'm just going to sit back for a moment and just take a look at this and see how we're looking. Yeah, that's not bad at all. I quite like that pinky tone, and I'm thinking now just a little bit more dark here and there, yes? So what I might do now is switch to a slightly smaller brush, and I like this kind of technique. This is slightly different to what I would normally do. Normally with my skies I would tend to keep them fairly simple and you know, not too much detail, but I think this landscape needs this lovely sky, this kind of detailed sky. So I'm going to start making it a little darker now, alright, here and there. So I'm taking a hint of phthalo blue, just the tiniest amount, and a little touch of crimson. And then I'm going to take a hint of black, and the black is really very strong, so be very careful, okay? The black can be very overpowering. Now you see, it's more on the kind of pinky side, so I might take a hint of burnt umber as well with the crimson. Now if you find you're putting too much of one colour in, just give it a wipe on some tissue, take off the bulk of the colour, and then go back in and pick up some other colours, okay? And then take a hint of white. So now I have what I would describe as a very dark kind of a plum colour, and I think I will start with that colour for now, just here on this side, right? So over on this side I'm going to just sort of soften that through here and there. And it's very lovely now working on this wet canvas. It's really I love oils for this reason, just being able to soften all of these through. There we go. And I might put a little bit down here like that. Just kind of, there's no particular kind of technique when painting clouds like this. I find that the easiest way is to just sort of allow the brush to dance around on the canvas. I think is probably the easiest way to do it. You know, you can go into lots of detail with different techniques, and that's great, but I find just letting the brush sort of dance around is probably the most natural way of painting clouds like this. Now I've taken more white with a hint of burnt umber, and I just, because it's getting kind of slightly warmer as it comes across. And you know, in the sky there's no sort of, looking at the photograph there now, there's no real definition in the sky, in the clouds. It's just kind of lights and darks here and there. Now I'm going to go over here and bring this one down at an angle like that, because I like the way that's sort of turned down, and I'll soften it back up then. And I'll come over here and add a little bit around like that. So you can see the technique is just very sort of, it's a kind of a hit and miss sort of technique, isn't it? Okay, I might start adding a little bit more blue into this, so I'll take a bit of blue and a bit of white and kind of mix that through up there just loosely, and start adding some bits of blue. Okay, let's have a look at that. We have a nice kind of a dark one along the bottom of it there, kind of goes right across the sky, all the way across. Okay. And I'm going to start adding a few, I might add a few lights then into this as well, just a couple of brights here and there. I think it needs a few brights as well, doesn't it? So I might just pop a couple in here and there. But first I'm just kind of going along now and softening some of this in, just making it that little bit smoother. Alright? And I haven't painted a sky like this now in a long time, so I'm kind of, you know, I'm learning as I'm going along. I'm going to get back into the swing of things very slowly. Again, I'll sit back now and take a look at this. Yeah, that's not bad. I'm happy enough with that. So I'm going to just dip this down into my turpentine once and give it a really good clean on some tissue. Okay? So dip it once and give it a good rub on your tissue. And that keeps your turpentine nice and clean then. Right. Next, I'm going to take some white, plenty of it, and I'm going to take a hint of Naples yellow, and that will give you a nice bright white, a nice kind of a sunny white. And you need to be careful with this now, because mixing it on this wet canvas, it's going to start to mix in with the colours that are already there, and so just be careful with that, alright? I find the easiest way to do this is not to kind of mix too much. So kind of put your brush strokes on and then just leave it, do you understand? I wouldn't kind of go mixing too much, because you will end up then with greeny hues if you have yellow on your brush. Okay, let's go down here. Look, let's put one or two along down here, like that. Okay, you see? And when it starts getting dirty, just rub the tip of your brush on some tissue, just to take off that dirty colour off your tissue. Okay, let's put a nice couple around here. So you can see now there's kind of a nice bit of detail in this sky. Well, I wouldn't call it detail. This for me would not be detail. This is, it's just, I suppose, it's a sky with a lot going on. That's what we could say, couldn't we? It has a lot going on. A very active kind of sky. Wouldn't that be the correct term for this? I would say so, yeah. Now more white, more Naples yellow. Let's go over here and add a couple of colours. There's no particular light source in this painting, I don't think. So for that reason, I'm just kind of being very loose with the sky. There's no particular light source. If you look at the photograph, you know, it's not kind of coming from any particular direction, if you kind of see it. So you can kind of be just nice and free with that then. You don't have to kind of keep that in mind too much. And so look, we all make mistakes. I made mistakes in the last tutorial with the boat. You know, not thinking about my shadows and stuff like that, but you know, it's fine. It's fine, it's only a painting. Don't ever take your painting too seriously. It's only a bit of fun. Now, okay, more white again. A little hint of Naples yellow. The Naples yellow really does help. And I might go up here and put maybe just one or two lights just here and there. Alright. Again, remember to clean your brush regularly. You have to clean your brush very, very well. A couple along there. Clean the brush again. And I'm sorry if I keep talking and talking and talking, but I do try to explain exactly what I'm doing as I go along. And I think that's probably what separates me from a lot of the artists on YouTube today. Because I started off just like yourselves. When I was on YouTube, I was looking at different artists and I was looking at how they communicate and how they work on their channel. And I found that a huge majority of all the artists on YouTube do not explain what they're doing as they go along. They just paint and they put on some music, or they do a time lapse or whatever, but they do not tell you what they're doing and how they're doing it. And that is what I find very, very frustrating. So I said, no, I'm going to start my channel and I'm going to actually tell people what I'm doing and show people what I'm doing and try to explain as best I can what I'm actually doing when I paint. Because I think that's what an artist needs, a beginner. You know, you need someone to say, okay, I'm doing this, I'm going to take a little bit of this colour, a little bit of that colour. It's all very well just to put on a video and put music through the video and not speak. That for me, I think that's just taking the easy way out. I'm sorry if I offend anyone. That for me is just taking the easy way out. If you're going to paint something, if you're going to do a tutorial on a painting, you know, what's a tutorial? A tutorial is you showing someone how to do something. And if you're not talking, if you're not explaining to them what you're going to do or what you're doing, then it's not a tutorial. You know? I don't know if you agree with that now or not. Let me know your thoughts. It's just how I feel. You know, that's all. It's just how I feel. Okay. Right, I am going to soften very slightly some of this. Let me see now, what will I use to soften this? I do have a soft blender brush, but I'll be honest now, it's not as soft as it once was. I might just soften some of these in, just to take the edge off of some of them. And let's see then how we're looking with this sky. Let's see if it looks okay, yes? I just wanted to make a nice sky for a change, something with a bit of texture, something with, you know. So I hope it has worked. And you know, the funny thing about having surgery on your ear is you kind of find yourself shouting a lot of the time and talking very loudly, because of course I only have one ear which is working, so I find myself talking very loudly when I don't need to. So I apologise if I'm shouting a lot. I do have a microphone just up here in front of me. I hope it's picking up the sound nicely and it's not too loud. So I apologise in advance for that. It's just that one of my ears is completely covered, so I can't hear anything. And it's very difficult trying to decipher different sounds, especially when someone is talking to you and there's noise in the background. It's very, very difficult. Okay, I'm happy enough with that sky. I'm going to leave that as it is. Isn't that lovely now? A lovely simple sky. And we took our time, we weren't rushing. Let's move on to those hills in the background. And I'm going to make some nice little hills for you all now. Let's take some pink. Now this brush is not the best, if I'm honest. I'm gonna just try and soften the tip of my brush. Sometimes the tips of the brushes will be very kind of hard. I find if you just rub it on a kind of a rough surface, like a bit of wood or something, it loosens up all the bristles. No, I don't think that's too bad. I think that might do. No, it's still no, it's not doing it for me. It's just not working. I'm gonna switch brushes. I'm just not happy with that brush now at all. Not one bit. I'll move on to another nice little flat brush, okay? Let's take some blue. Let's take lots of white. Let's take a touch of cadmium red this time. I'm thinking cadmium red will be a slightly warmer tone. And I'm going to put this nice soft colour off in the distance. Now let me just take a hint of turpentine there because it's quite dry. So cadmium red, a little bit of white, a little hint of phaylo blue, and it's a nice kind of a pinky mauve type of a colour. And I'm just going to put that off in the distance. I don't know if you can see that or not now, but it's kind of softening way off into the distance. And then I'll add some of the blacky kind of colour to that. I'm thinking maybe actually a hint of brown. See, I'm just kind of being very loose with this now. Very kind of up and down, disappearing off into the distance. And let me take more. Let's see now, let's take some burnt umber with a hint of Naples yellow and a hint of cadmium red. Now some of these colours are not on the photograph, but I'm adding these in because I want to complement the painting later on. Because we're going to have some of these colours going through the rocks and stuff like that later on. So I want to kind of complement the painting later. Do you understand? Now I'm going to take some sienna, a little hint of turpentine again just to moisten that up, and I'm going to take a hint of crimson, and I'm going to put that all up here. And this is a nice long tutorial, and it's taking a nice bit of time. I think this is, what have you got, 24 minutes already? We may have to make a part 2 on this tutorial, I think, because I'm enjoying this now. I'm enjoying taking my time and not being under any pressure. Okay, let's burn sienna with a little bit of cadmium red down there. And I might take a hint of black and a hint of yellow. So the yellow with the black now will go a little bit of a green, but that's alright because I can see a hint of that green up there in the distance. And soften it over into this colour. So you see, it's just about softening colours together, that's all. And mixing colours on the canvas as well. I think that's very important. You know, you can mix all you want on the palette, but sometimes it's lovely to just let colours mix together nicely on the canvas as well. You see, look at that, isn't that lovely? Everything kind of just softens off then into the distance. Isn't that wonderful? And with the tip of the flat brushes, so you can create little bits of texture as well for that hill. Soften it right across. There we go. Isn't that wonderful? Look. Now, so we have a nice dark section then. So you could imagine that there's a cloud up overhead casting a nice shadow down on top of this. Isn't that lovely? Okay, I might take a hint of mauve. I'm taking a touch of pink with a touch of blue. No, that's too much blue again. That blue is very rich, isn't it? That phaylo blue, it's very rich colour. And I'm going to put a hint of mauve just here and there. And in fact, I may take just a hint of blue on its own with a little white as well, and suggest some of that. It's just to kind of cool it down very slightly just here and there, that's all. Yeah, that worked. I think that just cooled it down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some cadmium yellow, okay, with some burnt sienna. And I'm going to use that very rich bright colour to put in some light just up there. So there's some light kind of catching the hill here and there. And a little bit along there. Like so. Quite nice. Yeah. And a little bit of cadmium red with cadmium yellow just in here and there. It's a very rich orangey kind of a yellow colour, just hitting that mountain just here and there, okay? Just a hint of it. Now, that's fine. That is the next section finished. Now you could go along if you wanted to, if you really wanted to give this some kind of proper detail and stuff like that, you could just take a little bit of black, let's say, and a little bit of crimson, even some burnt sienna, and you could just give it a little dab here and there, just to suggest little details, just little sort of trees off in the distance, you know, going right up to valley, that kind of stuff. And a slight little dab 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 here and there kind of a thing. And what I might actually do is, now to give this a very nice, the word I'm looking for, just to kind of catch your eye, I'm going to go with some burnt umber and some black, okay? And just up at the very top, I'm going to go very dark with some of that dark colour just here and there, okay? Now doesn't that really catch your eye? Isn't that wonderful? There, how about that? That's really nice, now I like that. And perhaps even a hint of it just here and there as well. Look, just suggest little detail coming down. Right, and one more just along at the back of that there, like so. Just to create a bit of interest. Now, we're moving along so to the front of this lovely, and I'm going to put in a nice kind of a base colour along here first, alright? So it's going to be, I'm going to use some sienna, so some burnt sienna. Now, plenty of turpentine in this, okay? Burnt sienna with a hint of burnt umber. Perhaps a hint of cadmium yellow and a little Naples yellow. So I'm going to just check that now, let me take a look. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. So I'll start with this colour just over on this side here, going up into the valley. And sometimes now it's kind of difficult to know if you've made the right decision with something. It's very difficult to know if you've kind of done the right, if you've made the right choice. So it's a lot of this is sort of try as you go and see what happens type of a thing, okay? So I've just added a bit of Naples yellow through that now, just to lighten it very slightly. And let me see now, more cadmium yellow. It's very, very yellowy, isn't it, over on this side. So let's go with that right along there. Some Naples yellow, some cadmium yellow together. Create some nice light off there in the distance. Just fill this in. And this is probably the easiest part of it now, really, doing the land like this. This is the fun. This is the fun section of it. So just keep mixing and mixing as you go along. Keep taking more cadmium yellow, a hint of white even, some turpentine, a hint of cadmium red. Warm it up. There we are, look at that, lovely and soft. Nice soft colours coming together. And then coming down, it's going to just start getting warmer, and it will get very warm here at the front as well, but not to worry. Let me add a little bit of that colour over here. Alright, just like that. And I'm not sure about this over here on this side. So I may take a bit of cadmium red and burnt umber and just go over that with a little bit of that colour and kind of try and soften that down a little bit more. Okay, now sit back for a moment to take a look at what we have. Right, yeah, that's not bad. Some nice colours going on in there. Okay, I'll take more cadmium yellow. I'll take some of that, and I'm then going to start creating some nice texture in the field here, okay? But first I'm going to take a fan brush there. I'm just going to sort of soften some of this colour off in the distance with the fan brush. Just dab, 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 dab. Give it a bit of texture and let that kind of soften way down then off into the distance, alright? There we go. I think that works a bit better, yes, it does. Now, a fan brush. I have loads of fan brushes, but the problem with fan brushes is that they go very hard very quickly. Now, look, you see all these fan brushes I have, but they're very hard. Some of them should really just be thrown into the bin. But I'm going to use a new one today, a brand new fan brush, okay? I have another one here as well. No, I'll use a nice new one I think today. And what I want to do is start with some nice bright yellows, okay? I need some white. This is where we really catch the light on the landscape now, yes? And this is where you're going to really catch your eye. So let's dampen the fan brush just gently with a tiny bit of turpentine, and let's go into some cadmium yellow, some Naples yellow, and again dab that now just with a little bit of turpentine again, because that's what will make it nice and fluid. There, you see, and a little bit of white, Now, I took a hint of cadmium yellow, a hint of cadmium red, and some white. And with that, on the very tip of your brush, let's try and create some light in this landscape. Now, there we go, look at that. Dab, 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 very gently off in the distance. And I want to create some direction with the light. I don't want to just have it all bright the whole way, if you understand. I want to give it some kind of different sections of light, here and there. There we are, coming down. And this is probably the easiest way of creating texture and grass and all that kind of lovely stuff in a landscape. It really is probably the easiest way. Let's get some white. Let's go along here with some. That's nice, I like that. There we go, off in the distance. And soften that right up there. Okay, now I'll give it a quick clean every now and again. I'll go into some cadmium red to make it a little bit warmer. Okay, make sure you have no lumps of paint on your brush. So we're now going a little bit warmer with some red, and this is really adding some colour, some warmth into the painting now, yes? And let's go to the other side. Go over here and add a bit of that nice warm colour in. Isn't that lovely now? You see now how that's coming out lovely? It's really kind of coming to life, isn't it? That's fantastic, I love this. Okay, let's try some darks. Let's get some cadmium red, some burnt sienna. That'll make a nice mix now, wouldn't it? And let's get some of this nice dark, rich red here and there. And let's add a little burnt umber to that. I'm going to try some flicks upwards with this, little tiny flicks, and let it kind of disappear off into the distance, then getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's nice. So you see, there's no rules, just have a bit of fun. That's all I can say, have a bit of fun and just make it your own. Alright, that's all. Now I'm going to create, I'm just going to clean my brush first, okay? Dip it in your turpentine, give it a good clean. I want to create a very bright spot going right through the centre of this landscape because I think that would really catch your eye. So with some white and some cadmium yellow, I'm going to just dab very gently along the centre of this, and then going along like that. I think that's nice now. It's just a nice bright spot just in there to catch your eye, that's all. So let's leave it at that for now, and I'm going to move on and concentrate on my rocks. So let's get some nice rocky colour. Let's get some black, some white, plenty of turpentine out. This is just a kind of a filling in kind of a colour, and some burnt sienna. Let's have a look at that. That's a nice warm grey now, isn't it? A little bit more sienna, because using more sienna will kind of complement the rest of the colours in the painting as well, you see, and it's keeping it that nice warm colour. Isn't that lovely? That's a nice, I love that colour. So more white, more black, more burnt sienna, perhaps a hint of crimson. So you see, using the same colours like we did for the sky, and that will tie all the colours together and help the composition of the painting. It will really help with the composition. And let's just come down at the back here like that and fill all of this in with that nice warm grey. So you see, even though it was a simple landscape, there's a lot of different techniques in here that you can learn. Okay, let's get some more black on our palette. There's the black, lamp black, look, that's all it is, lamp black. There's not much difference between lamp black and ivory black. I think ivory black is probably slightly more a browny kind of a black. But look, it's up to yourself. They're both pretty much the same, really, if I'm honest. Little bit of pink, little bit of blue, a little bit of black, and I have a dark colour. And I'm just going to start putting in some darks here and there, like that. A little bit of burnt umber even perhaps. And I'm going to start putting in, creating the shape now as well of the rock, the direction of the rock. Do you understand? So this is, you know, whichever way the rock is kind of falling downwards, it's kind of slightly more brown on this side of the rock. So I'm just going to go along like this, look. Perhaps even add a touch more sienna into that. And let's get some nice rich dark black and brown. Let's go in here, there's some nice darks in along there. So I'm just gradually building up layers now, that's all I'm doing. Gradually, slowly building up all these different layers of rock. And different shades as well. I can go really dark down inside here with this one. Okay. Now, stand back for a moment and take a look at this. See what we have. I'm going to put a nice mauve, a nice light kind of a mauve. I'll show you now. Just in here. So it's a mauvey kind of a shadow. There we are. And then a bit more of the red down at the bottom. Okay. Now, I'm then going to take my smaller brush and start putting in some little details. So I'm just going to take some of the black, maybe a hint of crimson, and plenty of turpentine. And then I'm going to start putting in a few little details here and there. So like little cracks, for example, in the rock. Okay. And we have some nice, really dark ones along here. Remember, lots of turpentine. And let's so you see, it's just no painting rocks. Painting rocks is tricky, but I like to kind of simplify it as well. I don't like to make painting rocks a chore. You know, you want to enjoy painting, especially when it's something that you might not be very, very good at. Just try and make it enjoyable. Understand? Just take a look now, keep sitting back and taking a look. Okay, I'm getting there nice and slowly. We can start adding some lighter colours to this now. And I'm just thinking, I could almost use the same brush, I think. I'm going to get some white, and I'm going to get some cadmium red. Okay, so I'm going to make a nice pink. Then I'm going to add to this a little touch of blue. Tiny, tiny, tiny touch of blue, and even a touch of Naples yellow as well. Now, a little bit more brighter, I would think. And I'm just going to start at the top. You see, and I'm kind of dragging the brush down like so. Again, keep the brush nice and clean in between. That will help. A little more Naples yellow there. We have a nice one which kind of comes along like this. Okay, so you can see now how I'm doing this. It's just I'm trying to keep it nice and simple. You can just simplify it as well if you like. Just kind of go your own and just keep it nice and simple. You can use a knife as well. A palette knife is a very, very nice way of doing rocks like this. But sometimes I just enjoy painting with the brush like this. It's just really enjoyable. Now a little bit of sienna. I'm just kind of creating the ridges on this first. And then I'll go with some real nice texture. But you know what? I may even use a palette knife on this. Let me get a finer brush, something with a little flatter, okay? See, something like this. There we go. And let's create some alright. Just getting some nice texture on this. And I might take some burnt umber and go with some burnt umber from here up, because I can see a lot of brown down at this side of the rock. And I may even use, actually, do you know what I could use? What's a good idea for this? A fan brush. And you could give it that very sort of peppered kind of a look. Okay, watch this, look. You see? You could give it that very fine kind of peppered look. So there's a lot going on. It gives you that impression that there's a lot of weeds and all that kind of stuff growing up the side of this rock. You see? And then I will soften. I might even leave some of this dry before I continue on with some of the highlights and things like that. I may leave it dry because it's still, I think it's very, very wet. I find if you put on too much, it just gets really, really wet and messy. That's the trouble with painting wet into wet. Sometimes you might be better off just letting it all dry. So I'm just going to add a couple of little lights here and there, and a couple up around the top as well. And soften down. Now you probably have your own techniques for doing rocks like this. Just use your own techniques, whatever you like. I will probably come back to this later at some stage. Now there's another rock far off in the distance over here. I'm going to put that in as well. Okay. Now I'm checking my camera to make sure I still have power. I have 37% in my camera, which is not bad. And then we have a bit of dark on the back of that. And then we have another one. Let's put another one kind of over here, say somewhere along this side. And then give that a little bit of shadow here and there as well. Just little dabs of shadow here and there. And now we have to make those sit down, don't we? So let's take some sienna and some cadmium yellow, and let's just give those a couple of little dabs and sit those down into the landscape, okay? And again, along the front here, we need to make that sit down as well. Now, one thing I wanted to do was give it some little bits of grasses itself. So I'm going to try and find a nice, very fine pointy brush now, okay? Okay, this one might do. And I wanted to just give it some bright flicks of grass here and there. And I'm going to use thick paint now for this, because this thick paint will stick better on top of that thick paint that's already there. So I think that might be the best option. Put a couple of those two there like that. Let's get some cadmium red with some yellow and suggest some nice little tips on some of those reeds. Okay, let's go over here. Let's add a couple of those little, you know, it's just suggesting little bits and bobs. I like that term, bits and bobs, because nobody really knows what they are. It's a landscape. There are lots of different elements in a landscape, lots of different things going on. So let's just keep it nice and loose and simple like that, okay? There we are, a couple there. Could even add some red, a couple of little red flowers here and there. I know you probably can't see this very well, but they're there. They're definitely there. A couple over on this side. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier I was going to add some sheep to this. Check now, just let me add a little highlight to some of this first. I was going to add some sheep to this. Now, I'm looking at my camera. Let me see what... I have 34 minutes left. I might have enough to do a couple of sheep. Will we do some sheep? I think we should try some sheep. Now, I'm just going to find a picture I have on my phone here of some sheep, which I downloaded earlier. I downloaded some nice sheep, kind of close-up sheep. Ah, there we are. I'm going to put that on your screen there now so you can see that. Isn't that lovely? Now I'm going to paint that. Well, I'm going to try at least. So I clean a flat brush, a small flat brush. Okay. And my turpentine now is really dirty, so I'm just going to add a little touch of clean turpentine into the bowl, because the bowl was kind of pretty much empty anyway. So I'm going to create some nice sheep. I'm going to just basically start with some white, okay? Even maybe a touch of yellow, but mostly it's just white. I would let this dry normally now, okay? But I'm just going to go along and paint it. So what the heck, look, let's just go and have a bit of fun with this, yes? Okay, and it comes down like that. And then in switch brushes, I will switch to my small round, and I'll pick up some of that colour. The head goes up and around like that, doesn't it? It's all just a bit of fun anyway, look, yeah? You know, don't take it too seriously. Let's see what we can do. Create some nice little sheep, yeah? Okay. And then we're going to bring this one down a little bit more here. Okay. Now, we need to get some shadow on the sheep, don't we? So let's take some burnt umber, and let me see now, a little touch of crimson. I'm thinking crimson with burnt umber just first right now. A little bit of shadow there, and a little bit of shadow where the leg turns, and under the body then, we have a little bit of a shadow there, don't we? I'm just kind of flicking it up with the point of the brush, creating the direction of the fur at the same time. Okay. Let me stop for a moment to take a look. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's take some more of that shadow colour and let's go in under the chin area. Very dark along there, isn't it? I'm just being very, very quick now and very loose with this. You know, you don't have to be perfect. It's only a sheep. Come on, let's have a bit of fun. Let's take some bright white and create the head. Well, look, let's go across here with the head like that. You see, it's all mixing together now, so it's very difficult. I'll probably let some of this dry and come back to it at a later stage and fix the face and so on. Do you understand? Well, let's just get some black and let's put an ear like so, and let's do the same on the other side, something very kind of similar. Alright, and let's get the nose, put a bit of a nose across there like so. He's looking at us, he's thinking, what are you up to, what are you all photographing there? That's a pretty funny looking sheep, isn't it? But so what harm, look, it's alright, it's only, as I said, it's all a bit of fun, that's all. I'm going to take some cadmium red with some of the cadmium yellow and put in some bright highlight just along here. It's all turning into a bit of a mess, isn't it? I think it is anyway. It's all turning very, very messy because we're going too thick with our paint, we're putting too much paint on and it's getting too thick. I think that's the problem. Let's just put in the legs anyway and see what happens, yeah? So we have one there, we have another one at the back coming down like that. And we can't see the other one, but I put a hint of it in, I suppose, just a hint. And let's get some shadow on these. And we also need some shadow under the sheep, don't we? This is funny, isn't it? Painting sheep like this. Okay, you just dab that in there, soften the legs in, all into the ground. Right, okay, I think we have a sheep done. I think we could just say we have a sheep done, could we? Because I think the more we go at this thing, the worse it's going to get, isn't it? Okay, let me just stop at that. And I might suggest one or two others just off in the distance, just kind of looking around here and there. It's much easier to do the ones off in the distance, isn't it? Because they're just basically little dabs of white, aren't they? Which is much easier to paint. I'm just not very good at painting sheep and that kind of thing. I don't think so anyway, and I'm not afraid to admit it. You know, we're all good at certain things and we're not good at other things. That's just the way life is, isn't it? Okay, let me get a small pointy little brush now and put in a little face with the ears. And perhaps just suggest some of the feet. There. So that'll do fine, won't it? It's only an impression, it's only a bit of a laugh, that's all it is. It's not to be taken seriously, none of this is, okay? None of this is to be taken seriously, just remember that. And I might put in a hint of light, just flick it along here and there. Okay? I think we'll go with that. Yeah, that'll do fine. The more I go at it now, the worse it's going to get. So I think I'll just add a bird up here in the sky. Let's go over here and add a bird. And with that, I would say it has been a joy and a pleasure painting for you today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just ask. I'll probably just add little bits here and there now as I go, but I mean, in general, look, it was a fun painting to do, and I hope I've made it fun for all of you. That's the whole point of the painting. It's just to be fun. Now let me just, I'm not a bit happy with this sheep at all. Not one bit. Now he'll be fine. He'll be alright. Yes? He's a weird looking sheep, but he'll do absolutely fine. Now, let me zoom in and take a look at what we've done. There's the sheep. Okay? Not great, but it'll do. But in general, I think we've created a lovely landscape, haven't we? A nice wide panoramic landscape. I will add little touches to, for instance, the rock. So look, what I'm going to do is, I might even add just hints of just black on its own and create some nice, real nice dark shadowed areas on that, you see. That's better, isn't it? But just apply this kind of technique to your own landscapes, do you know what I mean? And I hope I've kind of taught you somehow about keeping painting kind of nice and simple and free and loose. I hope I've at least taught you a little bit about that. Because, you know, you have to try and keep it nice and loose. There we are. That's a bit better now, isn't it? Some nice bright colour hitting the top of the stone just there. That's a bit better now, isn't it? Okay. It's been wonderful painting for you today. I may just paint over that sheep, I think. I don't know what to do. I might just paint over it completely and get rid of it altogether and just leave it as it was, just grass. I'll see how it looks in a moment. But yeah, let me turn the camera here. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've gotten some hints and tips from that. I'll be back next week. I'm going to paint a nice sunset, I think. I'm in the mood for a sunset. I have a big spot on my wall in the house which needs a painting, and I'll show you the spot in the next tutorial. I might paint a nice sunset or a nice snow scene. I'm not too sure which yet. But look, try that. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for your support. I will see you again next week. Have a wonderful week painting, and thank you so much for your support. Do subscribe if you haven't done so, and if you wish to support me, pop over to Patreon. You'll see the link there somewhere. Pop over there, there's plenty more tutorials there for you to watch and learn from and have a bit of fun from, okay? So thank you so much, all the best, and I will see you next week. God bless.